So you've read so much over your life to date, Dr. Carson. How have you then decided what to write on?
Oh, that's a harder one. Occasionally it's because a publisher has approached me and asked, would you like to write on something or other? I know one scholar who shall remain nameless, whose boast is, he's just recently gone to meet his maker. I wonder what his maker said about that, but well, that's another topic. His boast was that he had never approached a publisher with a suggested thing that he would like to write, that he had always said either yes or no to suggestions made to him. I think that's sad. Sometimes publishers have good suggestions to make, and they sometimes have their feeling on the pulse and so on. But it means that this poor dude has never got his own ideas. It's not as if he's asking questions about what he thinks is strategic. I would want to argue that a writer who writes a lot or repeatedly should be sometimes offering fresh ideas. How would you like something on this sort of subject? And the publisher may very well say no, just because they haven't even thought about it, and it takes a while to flog it somewhere. So one is with people approaching you. Sometimes you see a need for something. That's more dramatic. Sometimes it's a tract for the times, a response to something. My book on the emerging church was a tract for the times. It's not something I lay awake at night contemplating, make that my life's work. It was a tract for the times. It circulated widely and did its good for the time, but it was a tract, a long tract, to answer a particular problem. And other books you purposely write in such a way that the Lord in His mercy may keep them in print for the next 100 years. Packer's Knowing God is something like that. In 100 years, if the Lord tarries, people will still be reading Knowing God. It started off as a magazine series of articles, but it is so culturally transcendent, so sensible, so biblical, so warm-hearted, so edifying, that it'll be around in 100, 200 years. So you write for different purposes, different audiences. Some people write for one audience every time, all the time. Whereas I'm a jack of all trades. So I've written evangelistic stuff, and I've written technical stuff for scholars, and I've written stuff for the church, and written exposition.
Have you enjoyed any sort of genre more than others? You've obviously For the Love of God, which is devotional, and The Gagging of God, which is a massive work.
There are probably some genres that I enjoy less than others. I prefer to put it that way. That is, in some measure I've enjoyed doing them because I thought they needed to be done. But it's not my hope and dream to do that. I mean, the introduction to the New Testament, Doug Moo and I are working on the 3rd edition now. That's not what I want to be remembered for particularly. And there are a lot of students all around the world who don't want to be remembered. But on the other hand, it's one of those things that needed to be done, something that's conservative, comprehensive, knows the sources, is set out pedagogically in a responsible way and so on. So the publishers bugged us, needs to have a 3rd edition, so we're doing that now. But on the other hand, I don't stay awake at night saying, oh, I can hardly wait to write the next chapter of intro.